Mama, after sweeping, make sure you wash the plates too. I'm tired. Those were the words that froze Mama Chucks on the spot, the same Mama Chucks who once terrorized every wife in her son's house, but before she became this humble, quiet woman, she was the one woman the whole street feared. Once upon a time, in a noisy compound at the heart of Enugu, there lived one woman that everybody feared, Mama Chucks, the self-appointed judge of all wives. People said she didn't have ordinary mouth. That woman's tongue could slice yam. Her favorite topic was her son's wives, her favorite sentence. No woman can love my son more than me. She was a chubby, dark-skinned widow with loud slippers that slapped the floor as she walked. From morning till night, her voice echoed across the compound, Chucks, don't eat that woman's food oh. She used salt carelessly. Chucks, see how this girl folded wrapper, like somebody who lacks proper home training. Chucks, don't give her access to your bank account. That's how women start controlling men. When her first daughter-in-law Ngozi married Chucks, she came with all the softness of a Sunday morning. She knelt every time she greeted, cooked from her heart, and treated Mama Chucks like her own mother. But Mama Chucks wanted more than respect, she wanted control. At first, it was the small things. If Ngozi swept the house, Mama Chucks would deliberately scatter groundnut shells on the floor. You call this clean? She'd snap. If Ngozi cooked stew, Mama would shout, did Lot's wife fall inside this stew? Ngozi would smile through it, saying softly, Mama, I'll do better next time. But next time never satisfied her. When visitors came, Mama Chucks turned her house into a theater. She would praise herself and humiliate Ngozi in front of everyone. My former house girl could cook better than this one, she'd announce, while Ngozi stood there forcing a smile. The last straw came one evening after work. Ngozi returned from work tired but still went straight to the kitchen. She cooked rice, fried plantain, and set the table. Mama Chucks tasted the food, hissed, and poured water on the plate. You want to kill me with palm oil? You wicked girl. You want to use your nonsense cooking to send me to the hospital. Ngozi broke down crying, but Mama shouted louder, cry louder. Maybe the angels will pity you. That night, Ngozi slept with a heavy heart. She couldn't tell Chucks because he always said be patient with Mama, you know how she is, don't worry she will come around. So before dawn, she placed her wedding ring on the table and left quietly, leaving a short note, Chucks, I tried. God knows I did. When Chucks woke up and saw the note, his heart sank but Mama didn't even flinch. She was never wife material, she said coldly. I'll find you a proper woman. 6 months later, Chucks married Amoka. Beautiful, outspoken, with a quick tongue and quicker mind. From the first week, sparks flew. Mama Chucks hated that Amoka didn't tremble around her. Good morning, Mama, Amoka would say casually while walking past, and Mama would hiss, so you can't kneel. Your legs pain you ABI. Amoka would reply, Mama, respect is from the heart. Kneeling isn't really necessary. That was how the war began. Mama Chucks changed the lock on the kitchen cupboard and kept the key in her bra. If you want to cook, ask me first, she'd say. Amoka bought her own stove the next day and cooked in the corridor. Mama Chucks started a new tactic. Slander. She told every neighbor that Amoka was possessed. Anytime she looks at me, my body shakes. That's not ordinary. When Chucks came home, he'd find his mother moaning about chest pains and evil eyes. My son, this girl is dangerous. Since she entered this house, peace ran away. Amoka had enough. Mama, stop lying about me, she said firmly. Mama Chucks clapped her hands dramatically. Jesus. She's shouting at me in my own house. Within minutes, neighbors gathered. Mama Chucks sat on the ground, rolling and wailing. God, oh, my son's wife wants to kill me. Chucks, embarrassed and confused, begged both of them to stop, but Mama Chucks wouldn't stop until she got her victory. When Chucks went to work the next day, she packed Amoka's bags and threw them outside. If you know what's good for you, go back to your father's house, she said. I won't live under the same roof with a Jezebel. Amoka didn't cry. She simply looked her straight in the eye and said, Mama, one day, you'll meet a woman who will treat you worse than you've treated others. Then she left, furious, but free. That evening, Mama Chucks washed her hands and smiled to herself. Peace has returned, she said proudly. I've removed another bad egg from my son's life. But inside, Mama was worried. Her son was 35, unmarried, and starting to look lonely. One morning, she woke up and said, "Enough, I will go to the village myself and bring a proper wife. One with home training. Not these Lagos slay queens who wear trousers and call their husbands by name." So, she went home to Nsaka, her village, with one mission to find a humble girl that will respect her. In the village, Mama Chucks became the new matchmaker. Everywhere she went, she shouted, "Do you know any respectful girl looking for husband? My son works in Enugu O, civil engineer." After 1 week of searching, someone mentioned Ojeki, a young woman who had just finished secondary school. "Ojeki is decent," they said. "She doesn't go to parties, she can cook, and she prays." Mama went to see her parents. The family house was humble, mud walls, and a mango tree shading the compound. Ojeki greeted Mama kneeling, with 2 hands touching the ground. "Good afternoon, Ma." "You're welcome, Ma." Mama almost cried tears of joy. "This one is well trained. God has answered my prayers." She told Ojeki's parents, "Don't worry, I'll treat her like my own daughter." Everyone laughed. If only they knew, the introduction was small but lively. In less than 2 months, Ojeki packed her box and followed Mama to the city as the new madam of the house. From the very first day, she noticed the atmosphere. Everything in that house revolved around Mama Chucks, Mama's chair, Mama's remote, Mama's food, Mama's say. Ojeki smiled politely. She didn't talk much. She just watched. The first morning, she woke up by 4:30 a.m., swept the whole compound, and prepared pap for Mama. "Mama, good morning, Ma. Here's your breakfast." Mama smiled like a queen. "Oh, I told my son. This one is different." Ngozi and Amoka didn't know morning food from afternoon. She blessed Ojeki loudly. "God will bless your mother. You're truly a wife." Ojeki bowed her head. "Thank you, Mama." But in her mind, she thought, enjoy it while it lasts. For the first few weeks, everything was peaceful. Mama Chucks would sit in the parlor bragging to her friends, "My new daughter-in-law is a jewel. She wakes before me. She calls me Queen Mother. She washes everything, even my pillowcase. I told you, I know how to choose wives." Her friends would clap and say, "Mama Chucks, you too much." But gradually, small things began to shift. The first lap of karma started one evening when Chucks wasn't home. Ojeki Mama called from the parlor, "Where's my dinner?" Ojeki was in the bedroom scrolling through her phone. "Mama, I'm coming," she said lazily. After 20 minutes, Mama shouted again, "Ojeki, what kind of nonsense is this? Where is my food?" Ojeki walked out slowly. Eyes cold but voice calm. "Mama, if you want food, go and warm it yourself. You're not crippled." Mama blinked. "What did you just say?" Ojeki folded her arms. "You heard me. You think I'm your house girl? Because I smile, you think I'm stupid." Mama gasped. You're talking to me like this?" Ojeki stepped closer, her voice low and dangerous. "Mama, let me warn you, if you try that shouting nonsense with me, you'll regret it. I'm not Ngozi. I'm not Amoka. And remember, your son believes I'm a saint. If you make noise, I'll cry small, and you know who he'll believe." Mama's mouth hung open. Ojeki leaned in and whispered, "Better go to the kitchen quietly and warm the food before I lock my kitchen. I've seen the type of woman you are. But you see me. I'm your final bus stop." Then she smiled sweetly and went back to her room, leaving Mama trembling. When Chucks came home that night, Ojeki met him with a kiss and said softly, "Mama didn't eat. She said she wasn't hungry. I think she's still adjusting to me." Chucks sighed. "It's okay, my love. She'll come around." Mama sat on the chair, shaking with silent rage. That night, she didn't sleep. For the first time in her life, the lioness met another lion, one that wore a wig and smiled for the camera. The next morning, Mama woke up early, determined to put the girl in her place. She muttered to herself, "Nonsense. Me, Mama Chucks, fear one small village girl. God forbid." She came out to the kitchen and found Ojeki humming to gospel music, frying plantain. Ojeki turned, smiling. "Mama, good morning. Oh, I made plantain and egg. Should I serve you?" Mama swallowed her anger. "Serve me," she said flatly. Ojeki dished the food gently, placed it on the table, and even added chilled water. She smiled sweetly. "Mama, forgive me for yesterday. I was tired. I didn't mean to sound rude." Mama glared at her. "It's okay," she said stiffly, but deep down, she was confused. This girl was wicked last night. Now she was behaving like an angel again. Ojeki smiled again. You know, Mama, I just want peace. You're my second mother. Mama softened a little. Good girl. And that was exactly what Ojeki wanted: confusion. She wanted Mama to keep guessing, doubting herself, questioning her own sanity. Days passed. In front of Chucks, Ojeki was sugar and honey. Mama, don't stand up, oh. Let me wash your plate. Mama, you're looking beautiful today. But the moment Chucks left for work, her true face appeared. Mama, please, when you finish sweeping, wash the dishes too. I want to rest. If Mama complained, Ojeki would hiss, Mama, people will hear our voice now and they will think you've started again. You know you are a very wicked woman. Once, when Mama tried to watch TV, Ojeki snatched the remote. Go and watch from your phone, Mama. I'm watching my show. When Mama protested, she said coldly, if you talk too much, I'll tell your son you shouted at me again. Let's see who he'll believe. Mama froze. She had no power, because every time Chucks came home, Ojeki transformed into the perfect wife, gentle voice, smiling face, kneeling to greet. Chucks would beam with pride. See how my wife takes care of you. Mama, you're lucky. Mama would just nod, unable to say anything. Ojeki began locking the kitchen whenever she cooked. If Mama asked for food, she'd say, Mama, I already served you earlier. Don't overeat, it's not good for old age. Sometimes, she'd purposely cook small portions and tell Mama, oh, Mama, I didn't know you wanted to. I thought you already ate your Gary. Mama would just stare, trembling, too scared to speak. When she tried to tell her son, he just sighed and said, this is the same thing you said about Ngozi and Amoka. Maybe you are the difficult one, Mama. That night, she lay in bed, whispering prayers through tears. God, if this is punishment, forgive me. I've seen my match. I've met my own. The days that followed were too quiet. Mama Chucks had stopped talking. She barely argued, barely ate, barely went out. The once loud woman who used to shout from morning till night now spent most of her time in her room, watching the compound from the window. Ojeki had won. Completely. One evening, as Chuck sat in the parlor watching TV, then he noticed something. His mother was sitting by the corner, just staring at nothing. She looked weaker, like someone whose fire had been put out. Mama, are you okay? He asked. She smiled faintly. I'm fine, my son. But her eyes told a different story. There was something broken behind them. Just then Ojeki walked in with a glass of juice, smiling. Baby, I made fresh juice. Mama, do you want some? Mama shook her head gently. No, thank you. Chucks looked at her again. She had become polite. Too polite. This was not his mother. Something wasn't right. A few days later, Chuck's neighbor, Auntie Neka, stopped him outside the gate. She looked around before speaking. Chucks, don't be angry, oh, but your wife? You should open your eyes more. Chucks frowned. What do you mean? Neka hesitated. It's not my business, but sometimes when you're not around, the way she talks to your mother and it's not good. She insults her. I don't like what I see. Chuck's heart sank. You're sure of what you're saying? I'm sure. But please, don't tell her I said anything. I'm too young to enter husband and wife wala. That night, Chucks couldn't sleep. Every smile Ojeki had given him suddenly looked different. He started remembering things, small moments he'd ignored, like the time his mother wanted to serve him food and Ojeki snatched the plate. Or when Mama once told him she didn't eat all day, and Ojeki said, Mama didn't tell me she's hungry. He started seeing patterns, but what could he do? There was no evidence, just whispers, suspicion, and that uneasy feeling in his chest. One night, he came home earlier than usual. He parked outside and waited. Then he heard voices, faint at first, then clearer. Mama, I said don't touch my pot of food. If you are hungry, go and cook. Ojeki, please, don't please me. If not for me, you'll still be living in that your dead village. You should thank God I let you stay here. Chucks felt his chest tighten. So it's true, he muttered to himself. Please, my daughter. I'm hungry. Mama whispered. Then he walked in. Ojeki turned sharply, shock flashing across her face. Then she smiled instantly. Baby, you're home. Mama and I were just talking. About what? He asked quietly. Ojeki blinked. Nothing serious. You know Mama likes to overreact sometimes. Mama's lips parted, but she didn't speak. She just looked at her son. A look that said, please, not again. Not another fight. Chucks looked at both of them, his expression unreadable, then he said calmly, "Pack your things." Ojeki gasped. "Chucks, please. Pack your things," he repeated, quieter but colder. "You are leaving this house now." Mama Chucks, who had been quiet all through, suddenly spoke. "Chucks," she said softly. He turned. "Mama, please, how could you be quiet about this? What if she killed you?" Mama shook her head slowly. "No, my son. Listen to me." She looked at Ojeki, whose face was soaked in tears. Then back at her son. "Throwing her out won't solve anything. It will only repeat the same mistake I made." Chucks frowned. "Mama, no," she cut in gently. "Let me talk." She turned fully to Ojeki. "My daughter, what you did was wicked. You hurt me deeply. But maybe God sent you here to give me my own mirror. Because now, when I think of how I treated Ngozi and Amoka, I see that I was worse." Ojeki broke into sobs. "Mama, that's why I came." Both Chucks and Mama froze. Ojeki knelt down, crying openly now. "Mama, I didn't marry your son for money or love. I married him because I wanted to teach you what you taught others. Ngozi and I are best friends, and I saw how she cried when she left this house. I heard people say, 'That woman, Mama Chucks, no woman can live with her.' I was angry for her. And I told myself that if life ever brought me near you, I would show you your own reflection." Mama's eyes widened in shock. "I didn't plan to stay wicked," Ojeki continued through tears. "But I got carried away. I let bitterness turn me into the same thing I wanted to fight." She looked up at Chucks. "I fell in love with you along the way, truly I did." Chucks sat slowly, speechless. Mama wiped her eyes. "So, all this while, it was not hate. It was a lesson." Ojeki nodded weakly. "Yes, Mama. I wanted to make you change, but I went too far. Please forgive me." For a long moment, the room was silent. Then Mama stood up and reached for Ojeki's hands. She lifted her gently from the floor. "My daughter," she said, voice trembling, "you succeeded. You made me change. I just wish it hadn't caused us so much pain." Ojeki cried harder and hugged her. "I'm sorry, Mama." Mama hugged her back tightly. "I'm sorry too, for every woman I ever hurt." When they pulled apart, Chucks was sitting quietly, watching them, eyes wet, heart softening. He finally spoke. "Ojeki." She turned to him. He sighed deeply. "I don't even know how to feel. You hurt us both, but you also opened my eyes." He looked at his mother. "And if Mama can forgive you, who am I not to?" Ojeki burst into tears again, falling to her knees. "Thank you, baby. I swear I'll never raise my voice again. I'll make this house a real home." Chucks pulled her up and hugged her. Mama smiled faintly. "Good. Now, let me rest. For once, peace might actually live here." They all laughed weakly, a small, tired laugh, but the kind that carried hope. The next morning felt different. The air was lighter. For the first time in a long while, Mama woke to the smell of breakfast already made. Not burnt beans, not tense silence, but actual harmony. Ojeki came out of the kitchen smiling. "Mama, your food is ready." Mama smiled back. "Thank you, my daughter." Chucks joined them at the table, and for the first time in years, they all ate together. No competition, no side glances, just quiet laughter. Mama looked at Ojeki and said softly, "Thank you, my daughter. Thank you for opening my eyes." Ojeki smiled shyly. "Thank you for changing, Mama." Chucks reached across the table and squeezed both their hands. "No more war. Just family." They all nodded silently. Months later, Mama Chucks began hosting women's fellowship meetings at her house, the same house where she once scared people away, and every Sunday, she introduced Ojeki proudly to new church members. "This is my daughter, the one God used to save me." Ojeki would smile, blush, and look at Chucks, who never stopped smiling back. Their story became the quiet talk of the neighborhood, not because of scandal, but because people couldn't believe that the same Mama Chucks had become gentle. Moral lesson: this story teaches us that life always repays us in the same coin we spend on others. When pride and control become the way we show love, we don't just hurt people, we plant the very pain that will return to our own door one day. It also teaches that people change when life humbles them, and that forgiveness, both given and received, is the real freedom. No matter who we are, mother, wife, husband, or friend, when we treat others with patience and respect, we protect ourselves from regret, Lastly, it teaches us that sometimes God sends certain people into our lives not to destroy us, but to fix the part of us that pride has broken, because in the end, every action is a seed. And time is the soil that makes it grow. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us tell amazing stories like this. Until the next one, stay safe and stay prayerful.